Good afternoon. Got a question for you today. I was inspired to do this live after presenting to a group this morning, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So, do you struggle with consistency? Or perhaps do you struggle with reaching higher levels in your business? Because today I'm going to share what every business owner and entrepreneur should know about reaching higher levels. So, really quick, I'll tell you who I am. My name is Kimberly Lebbing, and I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are stuck or struggling in their business or in their relationships because they are related. And I have a unique process that fixes the problem in 4 hours or less. So let me get back to what I was talking about. So, what you really need to know about reaching higher levels in your business. So, one of the first things in my 4 hour process, and honestly, this should be the first thing if you're really trying to dig deep and get to a higher level in your business, the first thing you should do or need to do or should want to do, if you've listened to my other trainings earlier this week, we'll say want to, is you will want to identify what the bigger problem is. And I'll go in and explain that a little deeper, because what I see with entrepreneurs and business owners the most is if they're struggling in an area, they try to fix it on a subconscious level. So let's say, for instance, I had someone that came to me because they were inconsistent in their business. This person, and this used to be me, and this is a lot of people, they end up going out and finding books or seminars on how to be more consistent. And so they're getting to trying to fix that problem on a very surface level. And it's not that those books don't have great value and that you can't learn from them, but there's an underlying issue, an underlying problem that if you don't deal with it, the minute you get sidetracked or the minute something happens that kind of throws your schedule off of whatever it is you're into, that whatever program you've decided that's going to change everything for you in your business, the minute something changes, you're going to end up going back to the way you were, because you've got like a default program that's running that's stopping you from doing that. The same thing with, reaching higher levels. If you haven't, so you read all the books or you get the training or whatever that is, and if it keeps happening over and over again and you really haven't gotten to the real problem behind it, rather than the surface problem, and I'm going to give you some examples so you know exactly what I mean, you're still going to struggle. And after a period of time, you're going to slowly go back to whatever it was you were doing before that wasn't moving you ahead. This is why, we see at the first of the year, the gym memberships go up in January, right? And then everybody goes and they go and they're really good. They're really good. And I think the average is 8 weeks. And then they stop going and they default back to that old program. The reason people do that behavior with going to the gym or being consistent in their business or going and reaching those higher goals and higher levels, the reason they do that is they're not getting to the real problem and getting past that. They're dealing with it at a very conscious level rather than a subconscious level. And when we can bring up that problem that's way deep in our subconscious, when we can bring that up to the conscious level, that is when we can begin to see the changes. So with identifying the big problem, one of the things that I help some of my clients do is identify what that is. We talked about, so this morning in my presentation, I had a slide with an elephant in the room. And a lot of times we tend to ignore what that is. We just want to deal with this other problem that seems like it's easier to deal with, right? That's right in front of us, the inconsistency. because that's the easy thing to deal with. And it's not like the big elephant that's back here that you just like looks too big to even, want to deal with. So with identifying problems, so if you find that you've been kind of spinning or stuck, that there's a program that's been running consistently for you, you might want to dive a little deeper. Ask yourself. So one of the questions that I ask my clients is, how is that a problem? So for example, if it's inconsistency, well, how has inconsistency been a problem for you? Well, inconsistency has been a problem for me because I just can't stay focused. Okay, so how is staying focused a problem? And you just keep drilling down and drilling down. So I'm going to give you some examples because that's how you get to the deeper layers. And there's other questions, of course, that I do, because when I spend time with clients, it's a whole 4-hour process, right? But there's questions that you can ask yourself to really dig deeper to what that is. So for example, the inconsistent guy, it turned out that inconsistency was because of some guilt of something that had happened a really, really, really long time ago that he thought he had dealt with, but he hadn't. He had dealt with it at the conscious level. He had gone through some counseling, but that program, that wiring was still causing him to be inconsistent. So there was guilt playing in the background. And one of the reasons that I knew this is he was using a lot of guilt words. That's another sign to me. I talked about this earlier in the week, is whenever I see people using words like should and need and that kind of language, that tells me that there's one program playing, and that's guilt. And when we have a lot of guilt, that's when we end up doing a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors. We become inconsistent and other things. It's not the only problem. It's not the only emotion at play, but that's an example of one. So getting to that core problem. Another example of someone that I know that I recently worked with, and she wanted to scale her business. She came to me saying that, and this is such a buzzword in the personal growth field, it was imposter syndrome. Or she used that word, and she also used fear of success. And it's something we see a lot, but really that's like surface level things. It's not really getting to the real problem. She didn't have a fear of success. When we drilled down for her, it ended up being a trust issue. And again, it was trust over something that she had thought she had resolved, but her subconscious mind was still playing that old program. So she had not brought it up she had not brought it from the subconscious level up to the conscious level so that it could really be dealt with and rewired. And so she was not taking action to scale her business. Well, as soon as we got to that core level, and then, there was some other parts to it where we, figure out where or what caused the problem. And then we go in and specifically reframe and fix it. I call it fixing, but there's a little more to it than that. And afterwards, she was able to move forward really, really quickly. Like action took place really, really fast. So that very, very first step of identifying what the problem is, what the real problem is, because it's rarely, sometimes people really do know, but a lot of times they don't. A lot of times people know what caused it too, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes it's a traumatic event or something terrible that they went through. I work with a lot of people that have gone through divorces. Sometimes it's a lot less obvious. It's just something, even a good memory from the past, but somehow neurologically these two things got connected, and it's causing a behavior that's not helping them and not moving them forward. So if you are experiencing inconsistency in your sales and your business, or you're not getting to and reaching those higher levels in your business, it is so important to really dig in and find out, do some deep digging, find out what the real problem is, because it's probably not the problem that you think it is. So, and if there's any way I can help, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat about that. I've got a 45-minute discovery call as well. But regardless, I hope you take some of this information and that you're able to put it to use and help yourself move forward. So thanks for listening today. I appreciate you, and have a fantastic rest of your week.